And usually lecture in the evening is quite heavy topic. So I try to make it as simple as possible. At the same time, I don't want to miss any important information. In the next 3 sessions, I'm gonna take my time. Okay, make sure you understand and you can follow, because we will touch on the first elements of how the Buddha trained the monks, which is the precept. Remember, there are 3 things, right? Is we talk about this framework or Trisikha that we talked yesterday. Trisikha start from, Trisikha means Tri means 3, Sikha means education. So that means three things that you must educate yourself from day 1 until the day you achieve enlightenment. We are students. Those 3 things are Sila, the first one, and the second thing are Samadhi, which is mind development or mental purification or meditation, and the last one we're talking about wisdom, okay, or the Panya. That's all the monk has to do. So today we'll touch on the first elements, which is Sila, is the development of precept or Sila in Buddhism. Usually people use the word precept, but when you hear the word precept, what's come to your mind? Is that something only for religious people, or is something for the lay people as well when it comes to observing precept? So I'm going to give you the background of the precept in Buddhism. We talk about the meaning, and then today I only focus on the precept for the lay people, and tomorrow we will talk about precept for the monk. Okay, so you see the whole picture, both precept for lay people and precept for the monk. What's the difference and why there are more precepts? When Buddhist people hear the word precept, they think of 5, sometimes they think of 8 precepts, and that's all they can think of. But they think of novice, they think of 10, and then the monk, they think of 2 to 7, and when the old time, when there is a bhikkhuni, they think of 311. So how come precept has so many rules? What's the purpose of those rules? As you see the number of precepts keep adding on more and more, from 5 all the way up to 300. There must be something. Tonight we will cover the background of the precept. Okay, I will take you a tour back to the Buddha time, and we get to know the real meaning of the word precept. But again, precept is an English vocabulary. Every time we study the teaching of the Buddha, we cannot 100% rely on the meaning of this English vocabulary. Because when you go back and type precept in online dictionary, you get different kind of definition. Well, it depends on which view you're looking through, which kind of lens you're looking through. For example, all right, so let's start from here. This is the Ovatapatimokkha. Okay, it's in your white book that I gave it to you. Ovatapatimokkha is the framework that the Buddha laid down for monk and the lay people. If we know nothing about the teaching of the Buddha, this is the summary. 3 things. Okay, stop doing anything bad, not do any evil whatsoever, and continue doing good thing, whatever considered good. And the last one is purify one's mind through meditation practice. So these are the 3 things. And every single Buddha teach the same thing and give the same framework for monk and the lay people to practice. The question is, what does it mean by not doing any evil? And what's mean by doing good? Okay, purify one mind, meditation, kind of see the picture. But how can you define good and bad? What is the standard? Your good and my good may not be the same. Your bad and my bad may not be the same. So how come the Buddha don't just explain here? So monks follow the same thing, lay people follow the same thing. Then it's our job to find out, okay, to figure it out. In fact, the Buddha did explain it in different sutra. The Buddha did explain everything. He not just give out the theory and go. He teach every single detail to different individual. When he talk about precept, when he talk about meditation, when he talk about something very metaphysical, which normally he don't talk about it. He doesn't like engage on that kind of question and answer because it's just a waste of time. Anyway, so we must have the standard way to look at what is considered good and what is considered bad. We'll get to that in a moment. But keep these 3 things in mind. 1, stop doing bad. 2nd one, continue doing good. And the 3rd one, never stop practice meditation. So we talked about this yesterday. The Buddha gave the first teaching ever to these 5 ascetics. This sutra is called Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra. At the end of this teaching, one person here in this one of these 5 ascetics, Anyakonanya, have achieved the first level of enlightenment. And then he asks to become a monk. The Buddha said, you become a monk, and then he become a monk. The Buddha did not mention anything about you have to observe 200 precepts. Precept or Vinaya or Patimokkha did not mention or did not formulate by the Buddha at all. In the very beginning of his teaching career, there was no rule at all. 0 rule. So let me show the evidence. This Mahakassapa, one of the great disciples of the Buddha, asked the Buddha when he has a chance. He said, how come you formulate more rules, and how come have less and less people who achieve enlightenment? What was the reason? Venerable refer to the Buddha. What is the reason? What is the cause? Okay, why formerly were fewer training rules, that means less rules, even 0 rules during this time of this 5 ascetics, 0 rule, and later on start rule getting add on more and more. Fewer rules but more bhikkhu were established in final knowledge, which is Nibbana. Okay, many people have achieved Nibbana or realized a certain level of enlightenment, become Sodapatana, Sakadagami, Anagami, and Arahant. While now there are more training rules, more of them, but fewer bhikkhus are able to realize Nibbana. So this is telling us that before there was less rule. At the beginning, no rules, and later on, more rules. As the time goes by, the Buddha spent 45 years teaching a lot of people, monks and lay people, and he formulated more and more rules. So end up about 227, as we heard. In fact, the monk, we observe more than 10,000 rules. I hope I'm not, shocking you. There are 8 books in the Vinaya Pitaka, but these 227 rules only kept in the first 3 books. There's so many rules that we live by. I hope I'm not scaring you, okay? Don't worry too much for now. So the thing is, in this particular sutra, I just want to pinpoint that back then, start from 0 rule and a few rules, and then more rules. And before he passed, okay, end up at 227 precepts, 227 rules. Before the Buddha passed, he said, the Dhamma and the Vinaya, I have point out or I have formulated for you, that will be your teacher when I'm gone. Dhamma is the doctrine or the teaching of the Buddha. Vinaya is the rules or the way of life for the monastic people, for the bhikkhu and nun. When I said nun, I mean bhikkhunis. Because when you say nun in Thailand, people refer to the lady or woman who ordain themselves, observe 8 precepts, shave their head and wearing white. And that is called nun in Thailand. But in the Tipitaka, when you hear the word nun or you read the word nun, it means bhikkhuni. Okay, so there are 2 things that will be your teacher after the Buddha passed, which is the Dhamma and the Vinaya. Vinaya is not just a rule, it's the way monastic people live their life. The manner, the behavior, the attitude. Okay, not just cannot do this, cannot do that. It's more than that. And the Dhamma is the teaching of the Buddha. Human being, we can commit karma 3 ways. There are 3 ways that we can commit karma. Karma means action. Okay, the first one is called bodily action. That's the first one. I'm going to take you to what it means by good and what it means by bad, according to the Buddhist text. We can commit action from 3 ways: from body, from speech, and from the mind, from what we think. So what consider good bodily action? What consider bad bodily action? Same thing, what is good speech? What is good thinking? So start from body. What is considered bad? Then what is good, it's opposite, right? If killing, is it good? Stealing, is it good? And sexual misconduct. So these are the 3 things that consider bad or unwholesome bodily action. And if you do something opposite, it's considered wholesome. Okay, avoid killing, avoid stealing, avoid sexual misconduct. This is bodily action. And what is considered unwholesome in terms of speech or speaking? What about telling a lie, What about harsh speech? Speaking bad word. What about something we call divisive speech, and nonsense? These are the four things. Not just, I'm not telling a lie, but you are joking around, you speak something nonsense all the time, that's considered bad speech. It's not beneficial. The good speech is not only the truth, speak with the kind heart, speak at the right moment, and it's beneficial. People say a lot of things that is true, okay, but it's not beneficial. Let's say you may meet someone for the first time, you say, oh, how come you look so fat? It's the truth, right? He's fat guy. But what benefit do you get, or what benefit that he received from that kind of greeting? So you have to think mindfully before you say something. So this consider unwholesome speech, unwholesome verbally action. Okay, I haven't covered all that. Okay, so telling a lie, we understand. Divisive. Yeah, divisive. You break people into two groups. You say something bad to this person, and you go to tell his friend about his bad, and then they break apart. Okay, this is called divisive. Okay, harsh speech we understand. Okay, say something bad, it's a bad word. It's not good. So that's the speech. And the mind starts from covetous. Covetousness means you think of wanting something from someone that's not belong to you, like more like greed. Okay, and ill will, aversion or resentment, think of anger towards someone, and wrong will. Okay, wrong will is quite difficult to understand for the moment. But as you can see, the Buddha defined what it means by good, what it means by bad. Already at the first teaching, when he gave Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta to those 5 ascetics. If we zoom in deeper, we will notice that, wow, the Buddha already gave the standard way to look at what it means by good and bad. Okay, bodily action, verbally action, and mentally action. So these are the 10 things. And when it comes to precept, I want you to be able to relate to this. Precept is only these 2 parts. It's about bodily action and verbally action. Precept has nothing to do with the mind. But precept will help us to free the mind from worry. It supports meditation. But the concept of precept is a framework for us to behave wholesomely, bodily action and verbally action. Okay, speech and action. That's the idea of precept. And here is, again, the big picture. Precept is here. Precept is the starting point for you to achieve Nibbana, for you to be happy. You may not know about Nibbana, but if you want to be a happy person, you want to have a happy family, you must understand the concept of precept. And if everyone observes the same level of precept in the family, husband and wife, children, your family is going to be very super peaceful and super harmony. Okay? No one drink, no one lie, no one sexual misconduct, no one steal nothing from anyone. Okay, and it starts from precept at the beginning, the first step, and then when you observe precept, it helps you to free your mind from worry. You can trust that this man will never lie to me. My son, my children will never lie to me. Whatever they said, I believe them. If the whole family can develop that kind of trust up to that level, and that is called precept. People understand precept, and then it gives you a worry-free mind, and that worry-free mind is ready for undertaking the higher wisdom. The higher wisdom means the wisdom that allowing us to see things the way they are through the meditation practice. All right, so it starts from precept all the way to wisdom. So if both monk or the lay people, if this true group of people, whether kind of lifestyle they choose to live, if they want to be a happy person, happy monk, happy monk or happy man, they must observe precept. The lay people 5 precept and 8 precept sometimes. We get to know these 2 things, what's the difference. And monk as well, the novice is 10 precept, the monk is 2 to 7 precept. So they observe different kind of precept because they have different life goal and different lifestyle. So in this 2 lectures, you see the difference between the precept of the lay people and the precept of the monk and the novices. So this is the picture again. Morality support meditation. Meditation will help us to realize the higher wisdom. The wisdom comes from seeing, not come from thinking. So when we see, we understand. And how can we see? Not this physical eye. We have to be able to see from our inner eye. And that inner eye refers to what? When you close your eye, what can you see? You see the darkness. And how can you gain wisdom from looking at the darkness? There's something much deeper than that. We haven't seen it yet, okay? But keep in mind. You can look at precept as the foundation. People who have precept, they are ready to take on any higher virtue or higher wisdom. Without precept, it's very hard. It's very, very hard, especially in the spiritual life. Again, when we're talking about precept of the monk, not just what we can do with what we cannot do. Automatically, I want you to think of manner. Manner also one of the idea of precept. How you eat, how you dress, that's precept. Not just killing or lying. So if you have precept, the purity of your precept will help you to grow much better in your spiritual life. If you keep your precept clean, just like if you want to build a tall building, you must have a very good foundation. So the longer that the pillar go underneath the ground, it can support the higher building. That's the idea of precept. Now let's get to clarify these three terms, because I will use it interchangeably so we understand it, so we don't get confused. Precept comes from the Pali word called sila. We'll get to the meaning of sila in a moment. Okay? Actually, it's already here. Precept or sila, it literally means being of such a nature. This is the definition of the word sila. But when you check the meaning of the word precept, you don't get this meaning from any dictionary. They will say, you may find something like, oh, precept is a set of rules that decide people to live together in peace and harmony, not killing, not stealing. But you will not find this kind of definition. But when you get back to the authentic or the original word, which is in Pali, Pali used the word sila. Sila means nature. Nature means being of such a nature, which is like this. Nature of the water, water is clear, water is liquid. Water runs from, higher to the lower level. That's the nature of water. And if you put water into the fridge, the frozen, it becomes ice. And when you put the ice, outside the refrigerator, it becomes liquid again. And that's nature of the water. There are so many nature of the water that you can talk about. And water will level itself, whether what kind of glass you put it on, it will level itself. That's the nature of the water. Whether it's here, or in the mountain, or wherever it is, it's going to level itself. This is the water. That's the nature of the water. So the question is, what is the nature of human being? Now we're talking about precept, which is something that human beings should have that quality by default. And that's why it's called nature. And this is the meaning of sila. This is the meaning of precept. Nature of human being is, do we just go around and killing each other? No, right? That's not nature of human being. But animal, that's what they do. When they get hungry, they go hunt. But they don't feel guilty because that's their nature to kill for food. Normal human being will not go out there and start stealing people's stuff. And normal human being will not go out there and have sexual misconduct. That's not a normal human behavior. And normal human beings don't just go around and lying, take advantage from people. And again, normal human beings normally have sati or mindfulness. If you intoxicate yourself, you get drunk. When you talk to drunk people, you don't understand, you cannot communicate with him because he lost consciousness. So normal human being, we are fully conscious. But the consciousness may not 100%, but at least we're conscious. So we can talk, we can drive, we can do something. That means we are conscious. This is normal of human being. And that is why when we talk about not to do any evil, the Buddha knows this is broad. So he come up with the framework for the lay people to practice and framework for the monks to practice. So he talked about 5 precepts, he talked about 8 precepts, he talked about 10 precepts, he talked about 2 to 7 precepts. And he also talked about 300 precepts for the bhikkhuni. And if we are the lay people, it's our job to get to know what it means by 5 precepts, what it means by 8 precepts, what's the difference, and how can one observe precept, how can one break precept. So not to do all evil, that means you observe precept. I haven't give you the answer of what it means by to do good and to purify one mind. That's the last one you can guess, right? You can find it from here, from this, okay, three things. Now we know what is good, what is bad, what is wholesome, what is unwholesome. So now we know sila means nature, the nature of things, the nature of human being, because now we're talking about human nature. Being of such a nature is the definition of the word sila or precept in English. And the second word is the Vinaya, which we'll talk in detail tomorrow. Vinaya translates in English to discipline. And this is the one. Here is the Vinaya. Buddhism composed of Dhamma and Vinaya from this teaching of the Buddha. And what it means by Vinaya. Vinaya is not just a rule. Vinaya is the way of life of the monastic people. Sometimes you may think of Vinaya of the monk. Vinaya of the monk is called Patimokkha. So Patimokkha is a part of Vinaya. Vinaya is a bigger framework. Patimokkha is the precept of the monk, 227, and the precept of the Bhikkhuni, or 311 precept. This is called Patimokkha. Buddhist monastic code, okay, 227 rule for monk and 311 for female monks or nun. So these are the three terms that you will hear more often during this training. So don't get confused. I have a question for you. What's the difference between the idea of precept and the idea of the law? Are they the same? Before we go detail into that question, I'd like to clarify here a little bit, because every religion talk about precept. Buddhist, Christianity, Islam, they also have their idea of precept. Do you think they are the same? In Buddhism, sila or precept, totally opposite from the idea of precept in Christianity and Islam. Other religions, precept means command or order. When you break precept, that means you break the order of God or whatever written in the Bible or Quran. For example, you may find out that, okay, I'm not allowed to eat this kind of meat, but when you eat it, you break precept. You have to make donation according to your salary. If you don't make that donation, you break precept. But in Buddhism, it's not the case. Buddhism, precept means normal. You break precept, that means you break the normal nature of your own self. You don't break any law, designed by God or by any being at all. It's the nature of human being, not just go out there and kill people, stealing people's stuff. This is the big difference. And when it comes to the law and the precept, let's see, they are very different, because the law designed to prevent bad people from doing bad things. The law did not design to make good people, because it enforced everyone to do equally. But precept is more subjective. You can choose to observe one precept, or you can choose to observe 4 precepts, or you can choose to observe 5 precepts, 8 precepts. It's up to you by choice. But the law is more objective, right? You're willing to obey, you understand, you practice, you observe, because you see the benefit of observing precept. And it's designed to make good people. People who understand precept, they want to be an ethical person. That's why they observe precept. In Buddhist culture, before we leave the house in the morning, we are taught that you should spend a few minutes. You set your intention today that you will keep your precept clean before you leave the house. So today I will not kill, I will not steal, I will have no sexual misconduct, I will not lie, and I will not intoxicate myself. You set that goal before you leave the house, because you see the benefit of doing this. But the law is opposite. It's objective. It's governed equally. Okay, it's a command. It's order. You cannot negotiate. You cannot select that. Oh, I'm gonna follow only this law, not that law. It comes with consequence. If you break the law, you have to receive punishment according to that consequence. Same thing in precept. Is there any punishment when we break precept, even though no one sees it? If your precept is not clean, you will have guilt in your mind. And that's punishment. No one have to give you punishment. You punish yourself. Deep down in your heart, when you look back, I shouldn't have done that. That's punishment. It doesn't matter how long it passed. Every time you think of that incident that you break precept, you will blame yourself for life. That's punishment. Okay, if you steal someone's stuff, the police know, you go to police, you pay the fine or you pay the fee, and it's done. But deep down in your mind, You cannot remove that. You cannot pay the fee to anybody to remove that sin from your mind because of the breaking that precept. Okay, there's some punishment, but it's different form of punishment. So this is the difference between the law and the preceptor. And the law designed by the lawmaker, make the law, made by human. But nobody make precept. Precept is always there, whether the Buddha exists or not. That's the nature of human being, to do good thing, not to steal, not to lie, not to sexual misconduct. It's always there. This is the nature. We just have to realize it and practice it. It's one sutra that the Buddha talk about precept, but he did not use the word precept. The teaching is very simple. If someone speak or act with an evil mind, suffering follow. Oppositely, if someone speak or act with good mind or wholesome mind, happiness follow. This is super simple, but this is a teaching of precept. Remember, speaking and act, these two things is precept, nothing to do with the mind. But when you observe precept, your mind will be free from worry. That's why you are happy. But if you break precept, you say something bad, you did something wrong, then your mind is suffering because you feel guilty, remorse, unhappy. When you think of it, you feel bad about it. Oh, yesterday I said something bad to my mom. I shouldn't have done that. And every time you think of the word that you say to your mom, even though you grow up 30 years later on, you feel bad about it. This is the nature of mind that kept everything, especially it keeps something negative. But in fact, it keeps both. Sometimes you may think of good things that you've done when you're young. You can be happy every time you think of that incident. This is the nature of human mind. But in this case, okay, if you speak and act with wholesome mind, happiness follow. Oppositely, then suffering follow. Very simple. Okay, let's take a look at 5 precepts. 5 precepts. Again, precept is not something that forbidden us from doing something. The law is forbidden, right? Written that you cannot break it. Precept is not something forbidden us for do something bad, but it's by choice. Someone observe precept, you refraining from, you plan to refraining from. You are not told not to do this, not to do that, but you willing to. I am willing to refraining from killing or taking life, including little animal. I will do my best to be mindful, not to kill, not to steal, okay? Refraining from stealing, refraining from sexual misconduct, refraining from false speech, and refraining from intoxicant to crowd my mind. I want to maintain my consciousness. That's 5 precepts, 5 things. Killing, bodily action; sexual misconduct, bodily action; okay? Stealing, bodily action; intoxicant, and this is verbally action. This is only body and speech, nothing to do with the mind when we talk about precept. So this is the first element of the framework, that how good people should train themselves to cultivate more ethical conduct, to be an ethical person by learning the precept, understand it, and willing to observe it. It helps us to free our mind. Okay, 5 precepts. Simple, easy to understand. Sexual misconduct means between husband and wife, okay, no problem. They can sleep together. But if the guy already married, if he have affair with some other woman or some other man, that's exactly what it means.
Okay, so affair.
Yes, affair. You break precept. And sexual misconduct also means if someone under the guardians or parents, let's say father, mother, they have daughter, right? And daughter is not mature yet. She's not mature yet.
A minor.
Yes. And then some other boys try to have sexual activity with her. And then if that happens, so that man and this woman, they break precept. But if the lady is mature enough, she is single, not get married yet, but she by choice, right? If she loves someone or she feel good with someone, then that's another story. Precept in Buddhism has come with a very deep dimension, not just, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing 5 of this, and then can you consider yourself, even though you observe these 5 precepts, can you consider yourself a good person? Is it enough to claim that I am a good person? Think about it. at least two things you think of when you think of precept. First thing is about not harming oneself and others. Do not harm people, verbally, physically, for yourself and for others. And the second thing is about purity. When it comes to Buddhism, this word has to be there. We keep ourselves pure. So when it comes to this question, is this pure? Even though it's accepted by culture, if you can answer this question and you know deep down your heart is impure, then you shouldn't do it. Because every time you look back, you will feel guilty. So precept is not just can do and cannot do. It's about make sure your physical action and verbal action always pure. Always pure. So purity is important because this picture telling you, maybe help you to understand better. Your goal is to get there one day. And your goal is you want to live life happy on a daily basis. Observing precept help us to be happy because we free our mind from worry. We don't feel guilty. And you have confidence when you feel like you are pure. You're super confident. You don't scare of anything, any public, any places. That's confidence. That level of confidence comes from having pure precept. And this is the 8th precept. 8th precept is the second level of precept that the lay people can observe. 10 precepts also come from 8. Okay, just add 2 more things. The rest the same. So 8 precept, the difference between 8 and 5. So this is 5, right? So that means 3 more. So these 5, 1 is the same, abstain from killing. Second is the same, abstaining from stealing. Number 4 is the same, okay, false speech, abstaining from false speech. Number 5 is the same, okay, abstaining from intoxicant, drinking wine, beer, and those kind of things. But number 3 is slightly different. Number 3 in 5 precepts, talking about it's okay, husband and wife, okay, no problem. But 8 precept, husband and wife, not okay. On that day, if you observe 8 precepts, you must make sure that you're free from all sexual activities, even touch hand or physical hug or anything. Because the purpose of 8 precept is different from the purpose of 5 precept. 5 precept is for general regular people to live good life, to live okay life. But 8 precept, when someone take 8 precept, that means that person have different purpose, special purpose why they take 8 precept. 8 precept is for someone who want to be free from distraction of sense pleasure world, so they can focus on more concentration, on more meditation practice. Suggest from time to time, you should observe 8 precepts. Just try to come back to the simple life. Let go of cosmetic, let go of entertainment, let go of sexual activities, so you can be calm and get to know yourself more. You can find peace of mind when you observe 8 precepts. Husband and wife can separate room, go to the chanting together, meditate together, but don't sleep together. And number 6, again, no food after lunch, right? No dinner, basically. And number 7 is about entertaining. And number 8 is about luxurious things, okay? The bed, the room, things like that. So these are 8 things. So when you observe all of this, that means you let go sensuality, sense desire. It helps lessen. You come back to basic, you come back to need and want. You can sleep in the thin mat, you can survive. And then you wake up right away and go meditate. You don't feel lazy, you don't feel anything. You see the difference between the day that you observe 5 precepts and the day that you observe 8 precepts. You get to realize this is what we need, this is what we want. We don't need a few watches, we don't need a few phones, we don't need a perfume, we don't need cosmetic, we don't need anything. This is very simple life. So it helps us to reflect on the difference between need and wants. And when your mind free from what you want, your mind come back. And when you go meditate, no food, no dinner. You don't have to worry about cooking food and having dinner with everyone in the family. You don't need to worry about 8 o'clock 8 p.m. show on the TV. You don't have to worry about checking Facebook because you want to meditate. And when someone in your house observe 8 precepts, you know that person need time and space for their own practice. So you support, right? So that's wife or husband can have space for their own practice, meditation or study the Dhamma, or just want to be quiet for one day. That's something you can practice. So this is the 8th precept. Precept have to come with intention to follow these 8 things, intention to follow these 5 things. It must come with understanding, and then you observe. And then you understand why I observe 8 precepts, even though I'm from non-Buddhist. Again, precept is not for Buddhist people only. It's the nature of human body and mind to seek for peace and calm. If you observe 5 precepts, you are free from worry. But one day, if you observe 8 precepts, you feel much calmer, because you don't worry about put the makeup on, or making a phone call, or watching the movie, or sleeping in the luxury room. You're just gonna lay low, whatever breakfast or lunch. I'm not gonna worry about dinner, because I'm gonna save time and energy to be quiet and meditate on my own. So this structure helps. So basically, again, it's about self-control. When someone observes 5 or 8 precepts, it's about self-control, not to harm oneself, not to harm others. And it's about make sure your verbal action and physical action is pure. Because once it's pure, and once you know you are pure, no one knows whether you're pure or not. You know yourself. No one may not know that you break the law, because no one sees it when you take that step. But you know you cannot lie to yourself. And that guilt, that worry will be with you forever. Forever. And it's about purity. If you understand why you observe 5 precepts, because you want to free your mind. So whenever you think of yourself, you don't find any guilt. And when you free from guilt, where would your mind go? You are happy, you're proud of who you are. And when you go to meditate, that's even better. The mind have nothing to worry about, so the mind can go inside and go deeper and deeper, with nothing to attach, because it's free. This is about the concept of precept for the lay people. But for the monk, it's different. These are the 5 things for the monks on the monastic side. The concept of the monastic code is coming down to 5 areas when we're talking about Patimokkha or Vinaya for the monk. Okay, 227 or 311 for the female monks. We can break it down to 5 categories. So all of this consider precept for the monk, which we will discuss tomorrow. Okay, and let's see if anything else. Okay, benefit of observing precept. We're almost done. Precept is the secret to gaining wealth. Interesting, right? Why observe precept bring wealth to you? Okay, hold on that for a second. Having good reputation. Okay, you can relate it to that. If you know that this person always lying, this person always steals stuff, if they come to your house, you better keep your belonging locked. Good credibility. This man always have sensual desire. Wherever woman he meet, he always flirt, he always, try to get the woman. That's bad reputation. If you are that a person, wherever you go, or that boss, you don't go near him, he's a bad boss. Credibility. If you observe precept, you are safe, you have confidence wherever you go, and you are a bold person. You are a brave person, and you are lovable, people trust you, people like you, people like to be around with you, and when you're dying, you're reborn in a good place.
About number 1, is it physical or wealth?
Yes. Yes, physical wealth or mental wealth, same thing. If you feel like you are pure, you have no guilt, you have mental wealth, right? You have nothing to worry about. Physical wealth also. Precept, when people trust you in business world, people want to do business with you. Okay? If you want to choose company or choose someone who work with, okay, the boss with good precept, these 5 precepts, he observed precept, good man, okay, and the boss with always drinking, always flirting with women, always have issue with people, you have to choose, right? So you think if these are the 2 leaders of 2 companies, which company would have a promising future?
I will hire the one who says precept, and I will tell my friends to hire him as well.
So it will bring wealth, because precept is the state of mind being pure, because you don't break, physically, verbally, right? You are pure, you don't kill, you don't steal, sexual misconduct, and you don't say something bad, you don't lie, you don't break someone apart, and you don't say something nonsense. So basically, verbally action and physically action is pure, and with that pure give your mind freedom. You don't feel guilty. When you say something, you have confidence. You have confidence. And when you have confidence, people can feel it. Feel the energy of these people, if the person that you are talking with. And that's why when we are in the business world, people who observe precept in the better chance to be success. All right, so I'll stop here of this slide of the Vinaya, which is the precept for the monks. So we will continue tomorrow. Anything about today's lecture?